Finally, after 22 years, Yakov is united with his son. What's Simcha? Comes the Ostov Rebbe again and says, look how HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs the world in a measure for measure, midah keneged midah fashion, and how exact and precise HaKadosh Baruch Hu is. 22 years are keneged that 22 years Yaakov didn't serve his father. Where was he? By Lavan. He wasn't with his father. So now Yosef is taken away from him for 22 years and he can't save him. But within the 22 years, this is already Rashi brings it, but within the 22 years, it's so exact. So he brings Rashi. Rashi says 22 years that Yosef was in Mitzrayim without Yaakov, corresponding to the 22 years that Yaakov didn't fulfill Kibud Avaim, 20 years that he was in the house of Lavan, and 2 years when he is traveling from Lavan back to his home. So says the Ostovtze in Or Torah, those 22, let's break them up. There's 7 years, the first 7 years that he worked for Lavan in order to have a wife. That's with Rashus. Didn't his mother say to him, listen, V'yashavta imo yamim achadim. Go to Lavan, get a wife, sit until you yamim achadim. And how much did he work? Yamim achadim. These days, these years seem to him like a few days. So this is the same yamim achadim, which means he had permission to be in the house of Lavan. He didn't fulfill the mitzvah kibudav, but he didn't transgress anything. Then comes 13 years that he stays more by Lavan, and that's lichora without the shus. So not only does he not fulfill kibudav, he's wrong to be here. The first 7 years he's not fulfilling, but he's okay to be here because his mother sent him. The next 13 years, he's even wrong to be here, and he's not fulfilling the mitzvah kibudav. The last 2 years, we have already 20. The last 2 years, he is longing to go back to be with his father to serve him, as the pasuk says. Lavan says to him, "V'ata haloch halachta, ki nichsof nichsafta lebeis avicha," because you yearn so much to go back. So those 2 years obviously are measured differently. Says Yosef, look what happened to Yosef. Mamish unbelievable. 13 years Yosef was betzar. He came at the age of 17, all the way to the age of 30 when he stands in front of a paro. He was a slave. He sat in jail. That's 13 years. Keneged the 13 years that Yakov didn't have permission to stay in the house of Lavan. 7 years, he was still away from him, but as a king, that corresponds to the 7 years that Yaakov had permission to be with Lavan. But Lemaise, he didn't fulfill Kibudav, but at least he's not suffering. And the 2 years is when Yaakov heard Ki yesh shever b'Mitzrayim, and Yosef is there, and he really was dying to see him. The Medrash says in Birkat Rabbi Eliezer Perek Tzadi Aleph that he had such a yearning to see Yosef for 2 years, corresponding to the 2 years that he had a yearning to go back to see his father, because well, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, all my measures are midah keneged midah. It's exact. It's so precise.